I made $1.8 million in 90 days on my Shopify store. And in this video, I'm going to share with you the exact steps I took in order to achieve these types of results. My name is Hassan. I've been doing e-commerce for many years. I own a few different brands and I'm on YouTube to share as much value as I can. So let's get straight into it. Just to be super transparent with you guys as well, this is inside of my triple well. As you guys can see, I'll go ahead and refresh the data so you guys can see that this is 100% real. Right? I'll even go into my ad account and show you guys these exact dates so you can see how much I actually spent on ads. So let's get into that. So as you guys can see, I'm currently in my ad account as well, just so you know that I'm 100% legit, right? I want you guys to trust me. So you guys can see we spent about $600,000 on ads and generated about 1.3 that Meta tracked. But of course, Meta doesn't track everything. Really adds up to the triple well, as you guys can see. Triple well, it adds it up here as well. So I think I was behind on one day or something like that on the ad spend, but you guys can see it right here for sure. Awesome. There it is. So let's get straight into the video so that you guys can benefit as much as possible. So how did I do $1.8 million in 90 days on my Shopify store? I'm going to be sharing with you 3 core things that I actually did with this brand. The first one is customer selection over product selection. The next one is brand building and community building as well. The next one is monetizing and scaling aggressively. So I'm going to share each of these independently so that you guys can learn from them as well. So the first thing I obviously did with this specific store is that we didn't just look for a product. Most people really make this mistake because they're constantly scrolling on TikTok or spending hours on the ad library looking for products or watching these YouTubers, right, with the top 10 products, stuff like that. No, I didn't do any of that. What you need to actually be doing is finding a very passionate group of people, right? But as you guys can see, there are certain examples of these types of people that are super passionate who will buy almost anything that you sell to them as long as it makes sense, right? Some examples of these types of people are people who are golf lovers, people who are into like Y2K fashion, anime lovers, football fans, religious communities, lifestyle community groups, even people who are into, for example, like relationships or whatever it may be. The audience just has to be extremely passionate about whatever it is that they believe in because these people will continuously buy from you, right? A lot of people who sell random products, they only get customers once. But when you sell a product that people are passionate about, you're able to, create a brand around that. You're able to sell to them more than once. And if you can actually take a guess, one of these audiences is my winning customer that made me $1.8 million in 90 days, right? So, how do you actually find these winning people, these winning customers that will consistently buy from you and spend hundreds of dollars on your store? What you really need to do is you need to do deep market research, right? You need to study different niches of people. You need to study their demographic, what they like, all that kind of stuff, right? Once you do find this community, whatever it may be, and you could test a few different ones as well, you have to study them obsessively, right? And learn how to speak to these people directly. You have to ask yourself, who do these people watch? How do they dress? What do they buy? You have to know who it is that you're building for. That's the big mistake that people make. The next thing you need to do, once you find your core community of people, and you know exactly how to talk to them, you have to build a brand in a community, right? I know most people, you guys just want to launch your ads, you want to test some creatives, whatever it may be, and just call it a day. But the reality is, if you want to really scale big, you have to build a brand and you have to create a community around this brand, right? So what you want to do is you want your store to really feel, branded and not like any just random dropshipping store or whatever that is coming from China, right? The people who you're serving have to feel like, this brand is for me, right? I can continuously buy from them. And what happens is these people eventually, like once they see your brand, they share with their friends, their families, other people that are also passionate about the same thing, right? And a result of this is that people will end up buying multiple items, right? You'll end up creating, repeat customers, and you're also going to create some fans around your brand, which will allow you to actually be able to scale even more. The next thing you need to do is you need to take this type of customer that you're looking for and create an avatar around them, right? Most people just write relatable scripts, but their scripts and their videos don't match as much, right? Instead, what you need to be doing is you need to match the people in the ads with the people who are buying. This creates real relatability, right? You don't want to just make it seem like it's fake. You have to actually have real people who match your brand identity, right? An example of this is, for example, the brand had a specific type of girl who fit the vibe, right? That type of girl is the type of girl you have in your ads. and will resonate with the type of people who will buy as well. The next thing we did very successfully on this specific store is product collection drops. This is something that a lot of dropshippers or ecom brand owners do not do at all, right? Now that you have a core audience of people who love your brand and who are super fans of what you're selling, you have to give them more of what they loved, right? Instead of just selling one product, instead, come up with a strategy where every 3 months you drop a new collection, right? This creates anticipation, excitement, and it also increases the lifetime value of your customers, right? They're going to be consistently buying from you over and over again because you have new items for them to buy. The next thing we did is we started to monetize and scale aggressively through these fans, right? But you can't do that unless you have these core things. The first one is a great offer, right? Most people really underestimate the power of a great offer and don't test enough in order to see what actually works, right? Examples of great offers are, buy one, get one free, buy two, get one free. That's the one that actually printed for us during this period. But a good offer feels so good that it's too good to ignore, right? Most of your customers, they believe that. And one of the ways that we would validate offers is through our email list, right? Instead of constantly launching ads to these different offers or whatever, we would send, secret discounts to our email list. We would test this email list, and see what they are more receptive to, right? We had about 50,000 people or more on our email list. And each of these people, right, like we would be able to see the results of these emails, right? And we could see which offers work best, and then we would incorporate the best offer to our site, to our ads, all that kind of stuff, right? Even our social media, right? We would put all this offer, we would put that winning offer in pretty much all of our ads as well. So this worked very well because when you have an offer like this, for example, buy two get one free, and you have collections of your product, you give your customers options, right? Having options is actually how you increase your average order value, right? And because of this, we created a community of people who wanted more items and who were kind of doing like collectibles, right? It was really exciting. And this created our average order value to be really, really high, right? So our average order value increased to $124 actually, right? So the next thing we're going to talk about is ads and omni-channel presence, which is one of the things that we incorporated. So for our creatives on our ads, one of the things that we did is we basically sent our products to multiple different influencers or creators, right? Not even influencers, UGC creators. And essentially, out of all these UGC creators, there was four who fit the brand vibe, right? They fit the brand identity and they were passionate about our product. They were really excited. And essentially, they created us a few different videos for free product, right? And eventually, some of their videos actually performed very, very well. And what we did is we took these four creators and we literally put them on retainer, right? So we would pay them anywhere between $1,500 to $2,000 a month, right? To create us 10 to 15 ads every week, right? So this allowed us to basically never run out of creatives, right? Because we had people who matched the vibe, people who understood, right? People who got the brand because they are the customer, right? When you actually hire creators who are your customer, right? It's so much easier to scale because you don't have to convince them of how to position the product. They already speak as if they're the customer because they are, right? The next thing we did is we really had a huge omni-channel expansion, right? So what we did, we had Facebook, we had IG, we had TikTok, we had Snapchat, we had Google, we had Bing. We had all of these platforms. And believe it or not, I don't know how to run majority of these type of ads, right? I only know Facebook and TikTok and Snapchat, right? These are very simple platforms, but I don't know how to run Google. I don't know how to run Bing ads. But guess what we did? One of the core things that we did because we established a good relationship with other people is that we basically hired certain agencies who were already vetted that were experts in this field, right? Instead of me spending, 6 months making mistakes on how to run Google or Bing ads, why don't I just hire somebody who's really good at it, pay them maybe 2K and a small percentage of whatever they generate, and we win together, right? So that's the other thing that most people fail at, right? So when you do this strategy, your brand essentially becomes unavoidable, right? And people see you everywhere. The next thing I'm going to really talk about is budget and inventory as well. In order to hit these kind of numbers, it is not free, right? You have to actually have your finances in order to achieve these types of results. So of course, we were spending around 20K per day or something like that. in order to get to around 600K in spend, right? Probably a little more actually. But essentially, what you need during this period, if you want to scale huge, is you need lines of credit. You need supplier credit terms as well, right? Most people just look at, oh, I need to spend ads. I need to spend my ads. But it's actually way more than that. You need to be also able to establish a relationship with your supplier to be able to give you net terms. So during this time, our supplier gave us about 60-day net terms where we could pay her in 60 days, right? And sometimes this is good because you get to go ahead. You get to get ahead of the time, especially during like seasons like Black Friday, Christmas, all that kind of stuff. The next thing you need to be really good at is cash flow management. Right? Cash flow management is essentially knowing when to pay your credit cards, knowing when to pay your suppliers, knowing, when to fulfill your orders and shipping and all that kind of stuff, right? And all that kind of stuff. This really matters. Most people make this mistake, and it's exactly what ruins businesses because they don't have good cash flow management. The next thing you need to do is you have to really know your KPIs, right? What's your target new customer acquisition, right? What's your ROAS? What's your break even point, right? What's your max CAC, right? Your cost of acquisition that you can actually spend to acquire a customer, right? If you know these numbers, then you can easily manage your cash flow properly. And you can also create projections in your business in order to predict what you'll do next week, right? Or whatever it may be. The next thing we did in order to really scale is a strategy called surf scale. So essentially every 2 to 3 hours in my ad account, I'd be increasing the budget about 20%, right? So for example, let's say it's at 8 a.m. I'm at my, target ROAS. Essentially what I'll do, I'll increase the budget 20%. If I'm still there, I'm going to increase the budget 20%. So every 2 hours, I would just keep compounding the budget in order to like hit these massive achievements, right? So, when it comes to budget and inventory, the biggest thing is that scaling isn't just about ads. It's about financial infrastructure, right? And a lot of people make this mistake because they're not business owners, right? Sometimes they're just store owners, right? But you have to think as if you are actual business owner and a CEO of your company. The biggest takeaways is that with just 20% of this system that I went through, guys, any of you guys can reach $100,000 a month and beyond, right? So it's not about finding a winning product all the time. It's about finding an obsessed audience you can serve repeatedly and actually building a business that is running smoothly. So hope you guys benefited from this video. Make sure to comment down below, leave a comment, like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next video.